Welcome to our first podcast ever. Enjoy.
I'd like to lead this conversation off by talking about how one of the articles in the blog off of Moodle talked about how schools are creating technology for their students and creating laptops for each student. And it's actually turning the school, or actually having the school having a deficit because of the laptops. Warranties go bust and they have to get new laptops. And it also goes up and down with the population in the school, or how many kids are attending the school. They all have to have laptops from 9 to 12.
So, what was it arguing? That it was efficient for them to have laptops, or that it was just a pain in the ass?
Well, they had people in viewing the classes, and what they found was that they weren't using the laptops; they were actually just using pen and paper, and they're buying all these kids these laptops, and putting the school in debt every year.
So, it kind of goes back to that argument of we can give them the tools, but they're useless unless we teach them how to use them.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Another thing that the article was talking about was that they're paying out $500,000 for these laptops, and that I forgot totally what I was just going to say.
We going on about how they have to get serviced. Service costs for $500,000.
That's right. Yeah. So when these warranties go bust on these computers, there's just there's not a lot of funding, and you can see how a vicious cycle can start. All that stuff, right? What else was there saying?
As the time went on, they talked about how their system kept on changing. Originally, each student in classroom had a laptop computer, but as time went down and systems started breaking, they started downgrading the system. It started off only 9 through 12 would have one, and then only 12 would have them on certain periods, and then it came to a system of 32 class cards where they would push the computers to classroom to classroom.
So it sounds like they got way ahead of themselves.
It got to the point where it was a good idea, but they just couldn't see where their methods were going to.
Yeah.
There was in other schools around that area, the California area, they were saying that students are only getting, students that don't have access to laptops, they were only getting 35 minutes a week.
Oh, really?
Of computer time. So it's it was kind of funny because in this school, when they had the laptops for a year, they went back and kind of looked at it, and they said that the marks actually dropped.
Wow.
And the attendance after 3 years dropped from the school. I think they had an initial boom in the school with the attendance of the population of the school, and then probably things like the students screwing around on Facebook, their Hotmail and texting and all that stuff probably led to the teachers behind closed doors just going a different route, not being on board with the administration or their curriculum.
Another issue that it highlighted was that some educators just don't know how to input the technology into their classroom. They were talking about how some classrooms, the most use the computer would be used for is notes if the students would open them.
Right. So we need to be thinking about how we can use technology that's efficiently engaging the students, I guess.
I totally agree. There's technology that kids will never use in the classroom.
Yeah.
And they're trying to add all these certain technologies in, and the kids won't use them. And you said it perfectly, using technology efficiently and technology that teachers can handle and students can handle together.
It's one thing for us to have the technology, but it's another thing for it to be used for what it was meant for.
Intermission.
Steve just mentioned that on the island, he was watching the news the other day, and they said that some of the high school level schools on the island are going to let the kids start to use their smartphones just for taking notes, recording tasks for classes, and just using it as an instrument of technology in the classroom.
I wonder if that would be implementable for kids for special needs and stuff like that. Could we use technology better to keep them organized, or I don't know. I just always found like the kids that usually have EAs and stuff, like the EAs are keeping their tasks all in a book for them, right? Why can't we teach them how to use a little piece of technology?
A system like an iPad.
Yeah,
an
something
iPad
like that
would be ideal.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see how many more ways those could be implemented in a classroom, not just for like personal student use, but like, I don't know, if they're all like, if you could network them or something like that, you could do a lot of different things.
The technology's coming, it's so enhanced now. There's a student that's definitely modified. He's in a wheelchair and he's not with it. And, he's got on his wheelchair. He's got like the big board, and it's got different pictures and everything.
Yeah.
Like, if he could do that, on an iTouch or an iPad,
that would be brilliant.
And it says it for him. Maybe I don't know. It would just be a little easier for the EAs to pick up on things.
Yeah, for sure. But then again, that comes into resources and stuff like that too. It's tough.
Yeah, for sure.
When we're looking at schools that have limited resources to begin with, adding another factor like that just strains the system more.
I guess that's a good thing to mention as well. Like, even though like school kids are entrenched with these mobile devices and everything, not all of them have them. So how fair is it to use those in class when not all of them have access to those things, financially, I guess?
There's always an issue of backwards people, or I shouldn't say backwards people, but they don't want to be in the times, they don't want to be in technology, and they want their kids to grow up without these phones or get to a certain point and then give them their phone. And that will hamper the system if they want to bring in these smartphones and stuff like that.
With the introduction of the cell phones and smartphones into the school system, it also brings in extra liability and risk among with the teachers and students using these. As of now, they're not allowed in school, but they have still been noted to cause trouble.
Yeah, I think a lot of people fear them, and that's why we're so apprehensive of it. But it's just the same, like, when the internet came into schools, too. Like, everything was, like, slowly got more and more regulated. Like, you weren't allowed to use your Hotmail anymore. You can't use Facebook in schools, blah, 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 and on and on and on. So, but if there was a way that we could adjust that for these devices, it would be interesting
like
to see.
Almost like a master system for the teacher that their phones can, as soon as they come in, their phones can attach to and he can kind of regulate
Bluetooth.
Who's on track and who's not. Because it is going to happen.
Oh yeah.
I think we're at a point where it's kind of we're in the middle of things, like the transition.
I would agree with that.
It's eventually going to get into the schools, but right now it's just so hard to implement and be a part of, because there's so many people going one way and so many people going the other. It's hard to bring everybody together to create technology.
I think that should be a responsibility of school too, though, as well. Like, kids are using these technologies more and more and more, and it's getting society's more steeped in those things, so why shouldn't we be using them in our schools? It makes a lot of sense to be using them.
And they do, like, there's always the old adage that, these smartphones, like, they'll do all your spelling, and, like, they have all the spell check. All the spell checks, like, how will that adapt to the kids learning how to, properly spell, cursive writing, these things they still need, you know what I mean?
Or do they still need those things?
Yeah, that's a question, actually.
I don't know.
Yeah, it is a question itself.
Time will tell. There's always a period where technology breaks, power goes out. Then where are people without the technology?
Yeah, that's a good point too. Skills still change over time, right? So,
but the basics always stay the same, though.
Yeah.
But there's always, like, technology can fail.
For sure.
And if you don't have, like, simple physical, fine motor skills like writing, you know what I mean? Things can go bust.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
That's pretty broad, like, to say, but like a magnet comes down from an alien ship and ruins all our technology or whatever. I don't even know what it would
That'd be sweet.
be. Put us all back to a friggin' EMP. Alright, I think that's 10 minutes.